wife's go-go mobility scooter has developed a fault which seems to be common on these particular models. After a few years use, the magnetic brake starts to work loose, and the result of this is that when you stop on a slope with power on or without power on, it'll roll forward, which really it should stop where it is. The idea of this brake is to prevent it drifting forward, and it can be quite dangerous if when you happen to stop on a ramp of any kind, thinking that it'll stop there. It won't. It'll just go forward, and it seems to be the looseness of this brake. It can be rectified quite easily. This is the second one I've encountered. I repaired it without any bother, and it's run without any problems. This is what I'm going to show now is the same way which I did the first one, and it may just help you if you encounter this problem. First job, get the wheel off. It comes off quite easily. There's a woodruff key holding this on, so you need to be very careful where you put this key if it comes off, because if you lose it you'll never get another one, or you have great difficulty in obtaining one, I would say. What you need to do now is to remove the unit with a 3.5mm hexagon key. It probably would be easier for some people to completely take the motor out of the frame and remove the unit from there. You can do it with the key this way. It's tricky because the cap heads are very tight for some reason, really tight. But a little bit of patience and perseverance, you should be able to get the unit off the motor. I would advise before you actually take the unit off just to mark it up with a marker pen, so you know which position it goes back. These slots, holes for the screws, they all seem to be an odd pitch, and when you try and put the assembly back, you might find that if it isn't marked up, you might have difficulty in lining up the handle. I haven't been able to find any information on the web about these brakes, these electromagnetic brakes. There's nothing at all, no information whatsoever. Handbooks and maintenance manuals seem to be non-existent for these models. They're very hard to get hold of. There's no free information anywhere whatsoever. With the unit removed, as on the previous one, I stripped it down completely just to clean it and make sure that everything was there and that the carbon insert was not damaged. You don't really need to have to strip it down if you don't want, but if you do, you must make sure that the small washers on top of the pillars are mounted in the correct position. Otherwise, when you tighten up the plate, you won't get the proper clearance and everything will bind. I've made a small drawing to show what I mean. As I mentioned previously, if you do decide to take the component apart, mark every piece with the marker pen so that it goes back into the same place when you reassemble it. If you're not going to strip it down completely, all you need to do now is to tighten up the 3 countersink screws. Tighten them up evenly so that the carbon insert isn't binding. It needs to be slightly free and not too tight. You could also check the micro switch with a meter at this point, but it's highly unlikely that that's failed. You need to be very careful tightening these up. Over tightening it'll just bind it too tight. Incidentally, make sure that the drive lever is in the neutral position and not engaged as for driving the scooter. If it's in engage mode, you will not get accurate tightness. Everything will bind up, so make sure it's in neutral. Tight as I can get them without over tightening, without binding the carbon centre too much, and they should be okay. You should be able to put a small amount of adhesion maybe on there, or some kind of a adhesive to stop them coming undone, but they should be alright. Just try it. That's it, yep. Just a matter now of putting back the screws and hold it, and we should be okay to go there. This shows the brake stripped down, showing all the different components, and a brief description of mounting the washers. Final job, just put the lever back. That's it, nice and rigid. Everything should be back to normal now. And there we are. This is the second one I've done, and I've had no problems so far. Let's get the wheel back on, put the Woodruff key back, and we're good to go. That's it. There we go. Back to normal. Here's the unit attached to the main scooter. We're in neutral there. It's nice and free. Put it in gear. And you can't move it. Switch ignition on. And can't be moved. It will not move. Job's a good one. Thanks for watching.